Great. Welcome everyone to the Chamblee Downtown Development Authority meeting for Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. We will do the call to order. I will say people's names and you guys say if you're here or not. Van Pappas.
Here.
Brian.
I'm here.
Andy.
I'm here.
All right. Ronnie.
Here.
Leslie.
Present.
And Robert Pond. Tentative. Okay. Let's move forward with the approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the regular meeting minutes from October 27th, 2020?
Sort of. Motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from October 27, 2020 as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes. All in favor, Van,
Yes, yay.
Brian,
Yay.
Andy,
Yay.
Ronnie,
Yay.
Leslie,
Affirmative.
Robert Pond. Not here. Yay. All right. Has everyone had a chance to review the executive session minutes from October 27th, 2020? Any questions, comments? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the executive session from October 27, 2020 as submitted.
Do we have a
Second.
second? All in favor, Van,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Moving on to the chair's report. I'll keep this brief. Nothing to really report. I did notice that the Atlanta Commercial Board of Realtors last month had a webinar with the Chamblee Doraville CID and some of our property owners, Terminus, Parkside, and someone from We Love Buhai. And I thought it was a great watch. I'd recommend that we watch it. If you guys get a chance, Google it, or I could send it to you. But the point here being is I'm going to try to reach out and engage with the Chamblee Doraville CID, keep them updating on things that we're doing, get a better understanding for the things that they're doing, and just continue to kind of keep that relationship going.
That's a great idea.
Is that video something that we should post to the DDA's website?
I think that'd be a great idea. But very, very useful information, and they talk about us a little bit, and in a good way. Financial report, the 2021 budget draft.
All right. Do you want to run through this, Catherine, or do you want me to run through it, or?
Well, the only thing I know, we got this at the last minute, so Brian hasn't really had a chance to look at it. Nothing too different. I did want to point out that this number hasn't. Let me see if you guys see it. This number hasn't
Any
changed
chance
yet.
you can make it a little larger on your screen?
Yeah.
There you go.
So our
Oh, yeah,
total,
that's better.
okay, from the bond or the sale of the Women's Center isn't reflected in these October numbers yet. They should be reflected in the November numbers that you'll see in December, where we've paid down $1.4 million of the loan, but you just won't see that right now. Was there anything, Brian, that you wanted to point out?
No, I mean, I think basically we carried over our current budget. I think that's the real bottom line is that we're not really proposing to do anything different. There's a couple things that I would point out. I think everybody does have an Excel spreadsheet that was emailed out if you want to look at it in additional detail. One of the things that we've got in there is we do have $40,000 allocated for advertising, special events and/or programs. So, you know, that's what we have in there for that. Streetscape improvements, we've got $49,000. Hello, cat. We've also got $40,000, $41,000 in reserves. So that's sort of where we're laying out. I think, did we increase our facade grant to $30,000? I think we had $20,000 in there.
Yeah, we
last
kept
year.
that the same. Where did
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
So really,
yeah.
those are the big areas. You know, the other big expenditure is that we're anticipating $150,000 in legal services. Hopefully we're not going to be arguing so much, you know, and sending drafts of purchase and sale agreements and back and forth to potential deals, but we'll see.
My hope too.
That's all I have. I guess I would recommend that everybody take a chance to look through it. And then at the meeting next month, we can talk about it further, and if so choose, we can adopt it.
From a high level standpoint, do you know how much cash we have in the bank today and what we'll collect in 21?
I do. I just got our budget. Right now we've got, let me look at the number. We've got roughly $380,000 in our, we've got $318,000 in our operating account. We're going to be getting roughly, and I'm not tabbing over to.
No.
Yeah, I think, let me know if you want me to change anything, but our operating accounts are at 318, but we should be collecting over, let's see, it's 300,000 more
Yeah.
ad payments because we'll be, especially if we approve the Oliver one last month, waiting on that check, and if we approve the SLX payment as well.
So we may in fact be a little bit light, that our current operating fund balance may not, for next year, for 2020, may not include, or I don't think does include, the payments that we anticipate receiving.
Yeah, you're right, Brian.
And in that case, what I would recommend is that we simply pass that on to the reserves.
Agreed.
And I guess all the cats have come to join me tonight.
You've seen mine.
That's all I have. I mean, if there's other questions, I'm happy to field them. If not, we can go on to the next item.
Moving on. Let's see. DDA properties update. Getting a little feedback if someone can go on mute. There's no real update from last week or month.
Hey,
That's
Leslie, can you put I think your mute button's not on. Thank you.
Leslie Robson, can you mute yourself?
She did. She got it.
Okay.
No real update from last month. We are continuing to move forward with our 2 dispositions on American Industrial Way. That is all moving in the right direction. I believe both properties submitted for their zoning last week, I think it is. And, we're continuing to advance the ball, all good feedback. Things are moving in the right direction. There was a press release in the Atlanta Business Chronicle about both projects, which is great. Love to see that kind of stuff promoting Chamblee. And then the town center, we're really just kind of status quo. We are continuing to market and looking to do some pre-leasing there. I'll let the Seven Oaks guys step in and say if there have been any updates on that front. We'll talk about the actual site and doing some minor site improvements a little bit further down on the agenda. But I don't know, Randy or Bob, is there any leasing update you guys want to give on the town center at this point?
Let me see if I can unmute them.
Yes, hey, this is Bob. It's nice seeing all you all on the screen. I don't know whether you can see us. I know that my team's all here on the phone. A couple of things is that, it sometimes might appear like we're not doing anything on town center, but we're actually meeting with our brokerage team at Cushman Wakefield every week at 9 a.m. And then we have a 1:30 call with the finance team. And what's happening right now is that we actually have a great deal of interest in the tables and chairs project because it's available and ready to go, or at least when we close on it. The time frame at the end of 2021, early 22 fits well with certain companies that are thinking about moving space and wanting to go into more COVID friendly projects. So, and what we're doing, we're taking this time right now for the town center project to take a fresh look at the HVAC systems, the stairwell systems, the elevator systems, to make sure that whatever we put in there will be what I would call more COVID friendly, and which we think will also, the momentum that comes from tables and chairs will help us roll into the other project. The other thing, Rob, if you want me to mention, is that we are looking in the next couple of weeks of clearing the site where the building will go. Right now it is overgrown. I think we have the largest concentration of wisteria in North Atlanta on that site. Leslie will appreciate this. We're trying to get rid of it, but we plan to come in and clear the site, everything except for the larger, more mature trees, so that someone can get in, you can get in and see it, and then mark the building out, and then begin to create a sales path for our leasing people to show folks where this is actually going to go, and it's going to be directly in the center of this new town center project. So we've talked with Rob. We actually have met out there with the owner of Contrast Brewery about how we can coordinate some of our brokerage events with them. And so we're continuing to work on all of those fronts, even though the initial thrust that you all will see is on the tables and chairs building at 2135. Rob, does that cover what you wanted us to cover?
Yeah, we'll get into the ACU site down the agenda. I'll put you on the spot though. How, just anecdotally, with COVID, 2020, vaccines, election, all of these things, how is that impacting the leasing and the capital markets? Just general broad strokes that you guys
Well,
are
the
seeing.
best, and I think Randy's unmuted now, so he can jump in, is that those markets are essentially frozen. And any of the projects that you see that are going forward were decisions that were made previously. And we are seeing vacancies climb in the office markets across all of the major markets. But the glimmer of what we would call green shoots is that Chamblee is we are not developing a large multi-tenant building, large meaning like 300,000 or 400,000 square feet. And we think that the project is an ideal candidate for one or two of these larger tenants who have made the decision, who will make the decision to move out of a larger multi-tenant building into one that they can control their environment better in. But suffice it to say right now that our capital markets team that is helping us put together the financing on this project have said that those markets are essentially locked up until the first of the year.
Yeah.
So that's the long answer.
I'll put words in your mouth and correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost feels like this might be to our benefit. All of this stuff in the last several months, it seems like what you read about and see in the news that there in 2021, we might be getting a lot of folks that are looking to get out of the Buckheads, the Midtowns, the central perimeters, and the larger buildings, and be more focused on areas like ours. That's just me speaking. Bob can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels
Well,
like there might be
that
some
is
positive.
what we're hearing from Alina Massey and Andy Sumlin, who are the two Cushman Wakefield brokers who are our team, and they're the same group that leased Ponce City Market and 725 Ponce. And we actually, at some point in a post-COVID world, we'd like to, have some kind of an event where you all can come and meet them and ask those questions yourself. But we have not taken our foot off the gas on the marketing. We just, we're taking this time to look at new and innovative ways to get the project in front of folks. And the Tables and Chairs project actually has a lot of interest in it right now on a tenant side. And we already have, the capital that has already been put together, the capital stack for that deal. So it is, it's indicative, we think, of the softening of the market over time. So, Randy, I don't know whether you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that's good. I think that's good. It seems like the sequencing is maybe not what we all envisioned in terms of town center first, but if these projects go on American Industrial Way first, it only benefits town center with more validation of the market. So
Right.
Focusing on what we can control.
Board, do you guys have any questions or comments? Again, we'll get into some more details on the ACU side below, but generally positive. Moving on, Public Art Commission update.
Yeah, so the Art Commission, every year they have to put together a plan for the following year. Oh, sorry, I don't know how to change the view, so just, oh wait, hang on. Nope, don't know how to do it. So the big thing I wanted to show you guys was this page. So it's kind of showing the plan and the upcoming projects for the year. We have 5 of them. Not all of them are necessarily funded, but this was presented to the council this past month. And the consecutive slides will kind of go into detail. So one is the mural that's going to go up on the public safety building. It's actually, this photo is an old one. It's the building, if you guys haven't been on Buford Highway, it's actually getting pretty close to completion. The Arts Commission is going to work on some public engagement events at the beginning of the year in January to get input and to get artist input and community input and police input. And it'll basically be on the staircase wall, on the wall behind it. And the idea is to get an artist selected in early spring, well, actually late winter, and get that done shortly after the building's open, which right now is on schedule to open in April. The next project is a temporary art project. These are just very high-level concepts. It's probably not exactly what we're going to do, but using the fence that's along the MARTA rail station along the Peachtree Road side, we're going to do an installation with a partnership with both MARTA Artbound, which is the art arm of MARTA, the Southeast Fiber Arts Alliance, and hopefully with some of the Chamblee schools, kind of do a cool 6-month temporary project there. The Buford Highway gateway signs that we had our designer work on last year, we're hoping to get some money to at least install 2 of them to kind of highlight the different cultures that are represented along Buford Highway. The picture you see here just shows the Asian culture. We also have a design that was picked out by the council to represent Latinx culture as well. There's a desire to turn the current City Hall into an art center once the new City Hall gets built. And we're putting together an RFP to find a consultant to do essentially an implementation plan. How would it work? How would it be funded? What would the cost be? How sustainable could it be? And then last but not least, we want to put together a walking tour of the existing public art, like this mural that the DDA took part in, what was that, probably about 3 years ago now. And so we can highlight what we already have and add to it throughout the year. That's just a quick update on what the board's doing. They have one more meeting this year, and then start back up meeting monthly in 2021. Any questions?
Good job.
Thanks. It's a great group.
Local business update?
Before we go on, can we unmute Leslie, or was Leslie trying to say something?
She shouldn't be muted.
Okay, we still can't hear you, Leslie.
Okay, try it now. I swear I did not mute you, and it muted anyways. Can you talk now, Leslie? It just says self-muted.
I'm trying to unmute myself.
Okay.
Am I there? Am I there?
Yes, you are.
Okay. You know, the wayfinding signs are absolutely beautiful. However, let's focus down onto something a little bit more local as opposed to highway. We also have, you also included in the Arts Master Plan some wayfinding signs for local businesses.
I don't think it's in the Arts Master Plan, but eventually the idea is that not just the gateway signs, but the existing wayfinding signs that are pedestrian scale all around downtown will need to be updated. Yeah, but there's nothing in the budget for that this year, not in the city budget.
Okay, well, you know, that might be something that maybe the DDA would want to take on, because I think that those are really great ideas. You know, I mean, I drive on Peachtree Boulevard and I see Zen Tea right now has a little, essentially the size of a campaign sign pointing to the fact that, you know, they're over there a block away. And I think that that is something that has gone on for a long time within our business community, in that they really need some wayfinding signs that point to our Peachtree Road business district and what exists there. And I would like to see that expedited.
We've got something down in new business that talks about just that.
Okay,
Do you
all right.
do you want to talk about that now, or do you want to?
No, let's wait till new business. I'm good.
Okay. All good points, and I agree. Local business.
Yeah, so I just wanted to give you guys an update on our local Shop Local campaign. We do one every year in conjunction with the Small Business Saturday or Shop Local Saturday that American Express does. But because this year is not necessarily a year that that's being pushed as much, I wanted, especially because of COVID, I wanted to have a Shop Local. So we've created a super local suite based off of the supermarket suite that's come back with Leslie Jones. And I have to give credit to Brittany Lindsay, who's incredible and came up with the idea. But essentially, it's a campaign to get people in. They can go online, put in their receipts, and then they're entered to win sweepstakes in the city, where a lot of our local businesses have donated towards that. So we have things like a chandelier and a Savia massage package kind of situation. So there's all kinds of different things that are included in that. We're still looking for extra donations from businesses if they're up for it, and then they become a sponsor on our page. But we've already got some incredible things, and people are really excited about it. So that's going to run until December 23rd, and then we'll pick a winner from there. And it's basically whoever spends the most money in Chamblee. So it's a fun, silly concept, but it's a good way to get people moving throughout the season and encouraging people, especially during COVID, to shop local. So that's the big thing. And we're just continuing to work with our businesses during the season, particularly.
Excellent.
I have to say, you look good on camera, Laura.
Thank you. You did a great job. If you guys haven't seen it, you should watch the video. It's pretty corny, but it's also quite fun. So enjoy that.
Corny as us.
Good job, Laura.
Thank you.
Old business, SLX annual tax calculation.
So Dan had a lot to work on. We tasked him with a lot with SLX. If you guys remember, last month we looked at SLX's valuation or calculation, and there were quite a few questions that we had and that Dan had, including we never got the MOU signed for extending their start date by 15 months. And so there's a couple of things we needed to do, and Dan was able to do that very nicely in one document. So Dan, I don't know if you want to give an overview of what you sent me today.
Well, I'm happy to do that, but first let me say how delighted I am that we're at this point with SLX and the other two reports too, because I think those have been, every time this has come up, they've been questions, and I think we've reached a point where the questions have been answered and we've got a methodology in front of us. So as was mentioned, the board approved the extension, which is to change the completion date and the development schedule in the MOU. That needed to be documented, and we also needed to document how we're going to go about handling these reports in terms of the methodology going forward. We approved the amounts last time, but the document in front of you tonight basically confirms the extension of the completion date, confirms that they owe us $75,000, which needs to be paid when this document is executed, which is they'll do in order to evidence our agreement to the extension. It formally accepts the annual report and adopts its methodology, and I had to go back and do some reverse engineering to answer some questions again about how the numbers were derived, but they're their correct numbers. Requires them to notify us in the event they do make payments to the county tax commissioner. If that's required, the notice will just let us know that they've complied with the requirement. And 5 is basically their warranty to us that, for example, in terms of their mortgage, this is not in violation, and I checked and it's not. So I can recommend to the board that you approve this and that we get it executed by the company in order to put this to rest and create a bright line forward with subsequent annual reports.
I don't have any questions. There was an issue with their canopy over the parking deck that they came back to us and asked for something, and I don't think it had anything to do with the DDA. It was more of a city requirement. Was there any resolution to that?
Your memory's better than mine. It's not resolved in this First Amendment.
Right. I'll have to go back and ask our planning department. I know it was still an issue when they were having to get their CO, but I don't know what they ended up with. So I'll follow up. Yeah, well, Laura will follow up with Matt Dickinson and see what came of that.
Do follow up on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do follow up on that, Catherine, because I think that the council, told them that they needed to build the canopy. I don't think we gave them a pass on that.
That sounds right.
And I'll tell you something else. Not only that, but there is another glitch, which is their corner on Malone and Peachtree Boulevard. I'm sorry, I said industrial. Oh my God, forgive me. There is an issue with that, and I would like to be very sure that that is resolved, because they encroach 2 feet into the intersection with their curb and their stormwater, and I am not sure that that has been resolved yet. So I would really like to be very sure that that has been resolved, because I think they have to move that. So
Okay, we'll make sure to follow up on those 2 issues.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can see it on Google Earth.
Can I ask, those are things though for the city, not for us, correct? Those are not
Yeah,
DDA things.
But they have to do with their CO.
I understand that, but I mean, we don't have any power over that.
No, we don't, but issuing whatever payments does relate to that, doesn't it?
I don't know. I mean, that all sounds like city code issues that the city has to deal with.
I wouldn't make a connection between what we're doing with the MOU and what a city requirement might be.
Okay.
We can certainly wag our fingers at them, right? Next up, GE easements.
I think we need a motion from the board.
Oh, sorry. Do we need a motion to execute this?
Yeah, to approve the First Amendment.
Motion to approve the First Amendment as submitted.
We have a second.
It really is
Van.
that easy.
Ben.
Second. Oh,
Brian.
aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Ronnie.
Aye.
Leslie.
Aye.
Robert Pond.
Aye.
Oh, there it is. And aye. All right. Next up. GE easement.
This is it. This was just a follow-up from last month. So if you remember, EE, which is next to the Whole Foods Shopping Center, is asking for an easement to install a, I don't remember, a ground well to do
Yeah.
testing. Yes. Dan, Maureen is the one who's handling that on Seraphim's side, right? And that's
Yeah.
out of our hands at this point.
Council for Seraphim decided that they would like to run with the access agreement, so that ball is in her hands. If that leads to anything, I think the ball will be returned to us because the document that was presented requires us to sign, which our chair is authorized to do it. But we would have to take a look at what happened in the meantime and make sure it was still okay to sign when it's brought back to us, as I expect it would be. But right now, there's nothing for us to do.
And just generally speaking, our standpoint, if Seraphim is okay with it, we're okay with it, correct?
That should be the result. I wouldn't want to depend on somebody else looking out for us, so I'd want to have a look at it, but our interests are aligned. So it should be that if they're okay, we're okay.
Perfect. Anything else?
That's it on
Nope,
that?
not for that item.
Main Street beautification projects.
The only thing I have for this month is that I dropped the ball, and we were supposed to set up a meeting with Mario Camperdella to talk about planters and hanging flower baskets. So Laura already has that on her to-do list. She's going to reach out to Mario for next week. I did want to ask Leslie, did you want to be included in those meetings since you know so much about plants and green things?
I'd like to be included, not because I know so much about plants, but because I've already talked to Mario about this well before, this. I'm certainly not trying to preempt the DDA, but, and so, yeah, I'd like to be involved.
Okay, that's what we thought. Perfect. And did y'all want to talk about wayfinding signage? Now, the budget that we worked on, the proposed budget has about, I think we said, was it 30,000 for beautification projects? So just keep that in mind for next year, or if you want to propose any changes to the budget, that proposed budget for wayfinding.
Is this where we talk about those wayfinding signs that you brought up?
Or should
Sure.
we wait until business? I know
I'm sorry?
Van's going to talk. I know Van wants to talk about the digital signs, but that's under new
Okay.
bid.
Van, you want to talk about it now or you want to wait?
I mean, it's further down on new business, so.
We'll wait. Okay, so nothing really to do there, but happy to see that we're continuing to push that forward with the Main Street beautification. I do think we might want to take a look at the budget if we're talking about doing multiple projects, but we can discuss that later. ACU site clearing. So we've talked about this, just kind of throwing around some ideas on how we can further activate the town center site. And we've had several conversations with myself, Bob, and Contrast, our neighbor, and then also the city. And what we would like to do, so we can continue to market the site, is go in and clear out some of the overgrowth that's on the, let me pull up a map. That's on Peachtree Road and then also adjacent to the Contrast Brewery. And so you've got a lot of overgrowth there. There is some old fencing, chain link fencing, and some trash. I mean, you get back in there and there's a lot of debris. And so what we're proposing today would be to go in the next couple of weeks and clear out just the overgrowth, the fencing, and clean up the site so that when we're doing tours for folks that are interested in our office site, they're not staring at a giant jungle with a lot of topography and having difficulty navigating the site and basically having a tough time seeing what the vision is for the city. We can build on this, and Bob alluded to the fact that, you know, we can do some cool marketing things for where the eventual office building will be, where we could do an outline of the building and kind of show a tour path when we're taking prospects back there. I think that's phase 2. Phase 1 is really just to get in there and do our what I think we should be doing, which is just keeping the place clear of debris, cleaning it up, and being good neighbors to Contrast. Another piece of this would be to go back to Contrast after we're done and coming up with some sort of simple access agreement if they're interested, and just giving them access to use the hill adjacent to their site to do some overflow, basically patio space. And really not to overcomplicate it, but to just give them some elbow room, some breathing room, especially in the age of COVID, when folks are looking to be outside doing things and, you know, socializing, but in a COVID-friendly way. So to bring this back full circle, what I am proposing would be for us to go in and spend up to, I think, about $7,500 just to clean the site. And when I say the site, I'm talking about really help me with dimensions, Bob Voiles, but maybe 20 feet by 40 feet of space, really on that hill that's adjacent to the Contrast Center. I'm not talking about the entire site as it is.
Right. I think, you know, we were actually envisioning that it might be larger. There is some concern, and it's appropriate, that we don't want to give the appearance that we are creating a park space, but what we do want to do is have a sales path, that's what we call it in our business, available so that we can take people out there and show them what it actually is going to look like. A real sales path. Brian, I guess you think this is maybe Leslie's cat.
I'm laughing at Leslie's cat. It has nothing to do with your presentation. It has everything to do with Leslie, who is being photobombed or camera bombed.
This is what she does.
Anyway, so the plan would be to go in there, get the site cleaned out, and then if nothing else, then we can we would make an assessment. So it would be a phase 1 process on our part, and then any of the improvements that would go in for the project, for the building itself, that would identify the floor plate and everything of the building, that would be something that we would absorb ourselves.
I really like the idea. Can you hear me? Am I muted?
Yes.
Okay, good. I like the idea of clearing that space. By the way, I have a great tip for clearing wisteria. It might coincide quite well with Contrast and their bottles, but that's a whole nother issue. What I don't like is, well, let me go back. Forget I said don't like. I like the idea of us doing that. I also like the idea of Seven Oaks putting up the boundary fence, if you will, with, you know, signage on it, banners, if you, I guess is what you would do, of, you know, future coming development. I think that's a great idea. I do think that we have to be very careful, and I've said this before, to make sure that nobody, including Contrast, thinks that this is a permanent park for them. However, that is space that is slated to be a plaza. So I'd love to see us maybe try to figure out how to look into the future and see how that might work with them.
Well, and Leslie, Rob, if I might speak here, I'm not there, so I have to ask the chair. But what we would want to do is really just do kind of a phase one. Let's do an assessment of where we are, and then we would make a decision on how to go forward. We are fully cognizant of the concerns. The mayor and Mr. Walker have both expressed their concerns about the prescriptive, the prescriptive creep of all of a sudden this becomes a public space, right?
Right.
And the only reason that we would do this would be we'd probably be a little more subtle about the office building. The idea actually that our brokerage team came up with was to install kind of posts around the exterior of where the future building footprint is and maybe highlight that, but then have signage that says that, where that shows people this is where town center is going to be.
Yeah.
And so it's always evident to everyone that, this is not a permanent situation. This is a temporary situation.
Yeah.
So that's what, and Rob, to Rob's credit, I mean, this has been something that he initially came up with, and our marketing team has embraced as a great concept. So
I agree.
I would almost think of it as, the, what do you want to call it? The clearing of the land, the prep work. This is like the prep work before the prep work. This is to get people excited about the fact that it's not just going to be a big overgrown forest, that there are plans, and that, Chamblee doesn't just stop at the edge of the contrast parking lot.
Yeah, it's like a reveal.
that's a good way to look at it, Leslie.
An inexpensive.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question, Rob. What was the purpose of including contrast? Because we're not going to be, are we doing something with them?
Well, so after this, once we've cleared the site, what we propose to them, if they're interested and it makes sense for us, would be to just give them some kind of patio space / breathing room. If you've been to Contrast, over the weekend, they typically have bands, they'll have food trucks, they have things going on that really eat up their parking lot and their outdoor space. So this would just be a way for them to kind of, because people already go up on that hill, and their kids are running around, and I know this by experience, people are already encroaching onto the property. This would just be a way to give them access to it, assuming that they have, all of their insurance covered and everything like that, really at no cost to them, to give them kind of some benefit of the site while we are going through the process of marketing and leasing.
I mean, this is something that we expect to be happening here on this sort of plaza site of the office building eventually anyway, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and Van, I'm sorry, Van, go ahead.
I was just going to add, so I'm just a little nervous. Have we also, because they're just a tenant, have we actually had a conversation with Terminus, which is the actual property owner?
I haven't had in-depth conversations with them, but I let them know that, we are trying to be a good neighbor. We want to clear the space a little bit, clean it up. And then I also mentioned that, we'd be looking at offering them some extra breathing room. And it was a casual conversation with Taylor. It wasn't anything in depth, but I mean, we can certainly go back to him and give him more details if this is what we want to do.
Well,
and
I don't see us having to have a contract with Terminus. I think that this is just a sort of a handshake thing, and Terminus is not, I mean, if we want to involve them, we're talking, do you want to lease? Money. And right now, that's not where we are.
A handshake with proof of insurance and no liability on the DDA's part.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it would be
Excellent.
less, yeah,
I
less,
like that.
it would be, and Dan will be able to put all this in writing, but I mean, it would be a simple license, a revocable license that would allow them to use the space for certain times and certain events, but they would have to provide us with proof of insurance, and they would assume the liability for anything that happened as a result of their folks coming on that, so that the city does not assume any responsibility there.
Agree.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure that Terminus in no way thought they were getting something out of this.
Just a good neighbor. Like State Farm.
We'll indemnify ourselves against snake bites.
Listen, we're all about, the one thing I've learned in working with you all for the last 30 months is that if it's a brew pub or a distillery or a rooftop event, you guys are in favor of it. So all we're trying to do is keep your current folks. We think actually from a marketing perspective, the Contrast brewery guys it's a great marketing thing for us to use, that they're going to be next door to this facility. It's part of what makes your community so unique and makes it special. So
what kind of office building wants to make sure their employees have access to beer?
Sounds like high technology to me.
Yeah.
Is
Anybody living in the age of COVID?
when they're using the space, can we make sure that there's some site plans or, just some poster size graphic or something, so that as people are milling around in there, they really do have a vision of what's coming?
that would be
Right.
on us to do that. Yes, Brian, that's exactly what we're thinking about.
Not just that, but hosting events there and driving traffic through there. And Hopsticks, we've mentioned Contrast a million times. Hopsticks as well. But
Well, and
this-
just
a direct
hey,
neighbor.
Rob,
Yeah.
just so the team knows, and I know we have one of the principals of Hopsticks here, or the principal. That is our go-to place for all of our broker meetings right now. For lunches and everything else. So
the idea really kind of started with how do we help our neighbors with the resources that we have, and it just kind of grew into this. And I'd like to see this move forward. Bob's got a guy that's already bid this out. We just need to get the formal approval to clear it.
Motion to move forward.
Motion to authorize the chair to move forward with the discussions to make it happen.
Second.
Does that work?
I guess I could be more exact to explore the clearing of the site and the use of a portion of the site by Contrast Artisan Ales and others.
My second still stands. Bob, make sure that you talk to me, because I've got a foolproof way of clearing wisteria.
good. Well, I want to hear it.
It's proprietary.
Van,
Aye.
Brian,
Yes, aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Ronnie,
Aye.
Leslie,
Aye.
Robert.
Aye.
Excellent. Thanks, guys. Moving on to new business, Peachtree Station tax calculation.
This was in your board packet, was what they do for us every year, even though they don't, Seraphim doesn't have an admin payment to us. If you recall, we had that long standing back and forth about how to value their property. We settled on $50,000 for 2019. For 2020, they're saying that the valuation is $46,500,000. And then in their letter, they kind of have their backup examples. They compared it with Cherokee Plaza, North Decatur Station, Decatur Crossing, and then also make that same argument saying that their tenants are paying more taxes. So they're further making that argument that that's the amount that they think they should be valued at. I think that's it. Now, Dan, you pointed out that they did not include what they had in their March annual report.
There's a couple of things. Can you scroll down to the last page? Keep going.
Keep going.
There you go. This is a good summary of what's going on. So you can see how the saved taxes add up and accumulate. We've got a $7.5 million credit basket, and we accept these calculations. They're $2.9 million into it. And it shows the effect of the lower value on the amount of taxes saved. So what they've done is consistent with how we resolved last year's report, and the idea was that we would have a consistent methodology going forward. And this reflects that methodology. It doesn't mean that we accept the numbers that they're proposing, but it is the right methodology.
And I think they're using the same comps, right? And what ended up happening was the comps that they used were reassessed at lower values.
Yes.
And that's what's coming up with this value.
Yes. And again, we don't have to accept their percentage or even their, I don't know that we can argue about the comps, but we could, but what they're doing is consistent with what we asked them to do. If the values they provided are acceptable, then the report is acceptable because the methodology is the right methodology.
I don't want to dig into the weeds because I could. If you're looking at a comp, if they're using the exact same comps, one of those could have burned down, one of them could be completely vacant. It's not necessarily a fair market value of what this property is worth. But that being said, I think this is probably a good, simple way of looking at this and comparing it against other like properties without going through a full-blown appraisal and hiring a third party to come in here and take a look at it. Intuitively, it makes sense that the values have gone down in 2020. They've had tenants that have gone out of business at this point or in the process of going out of business. And I think the intent of this structure is to capture value. Values will go up and they will go down, and in this instance, it's gone down. That's all.
If the board hasn't had a chance to read this and think about it, then you should take the opportunity to read it and think about it.
Okay.
The other thing that was mentioned is that they actually owe us a couple more things. One is a community investment report, but it's probably going to be the same as the last one. And then a calculation of the community recovery payments. It was 0% last time, and it would be 0% this time. It's just a formality. But when we tell them what action we've taken on the important number, which is the calculation of the saved taxes, we ought to remind them that they ought to submit the same thing. That's right. That's what they did last time.
Yeah, this is what they submitted in March. So we just need to email them and request that for the updated for 2020, correct?
Yeah, it's just a formality, and they probably didn't do it because they thought they'd done it and it wasn't going to change. But, to a lawyer, formalities are important.
Yes.
I don't have any questions. Do you guys want to take a look at this, and do we want to act on this next month, or?
Does it make a difference?
I don't think it does.
I mean, my taking a look at it isn't going to move the needle. My question is to you, Van. How about you?
I'm just
You
a
know-
lawyer, but everything Rob said is absolutely correct. I mean, those things could have happened. One of these things could have burned down. There could be something atypical involved here. I don't think that's the case, but I don't have factual knowledge of that. The board's closer to it. I'm just relieved that we don't have to go through the stuff that Rob mentioned, the consideration of an appraisal and a third party and negotiating settlement agreements and all of that. I mean, I'm just delighted that we're at the point where we got something that we were looking for in front of us, and we're just thinking about whether it looks good to us instead of what to do with it.
Back at you, Van.
I mean, I think we accept it
Yeah.
personally, but you know, that's just me.
Well, I'm willing to take the advice of our advisors.
If it was me, I'd vote for it so I didn't have to mess with it anymore, but that's just me.
So do we need a motion?
Do we have a motion?
Motion to accept?
All in favor? Van? Second, Van?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Ronnie?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
I say aye. Wow, record. Trackside.
Let me get this down.
So trackside, if y'all remember last year when they sent us their tax calculation, they said, well, heads up, we're going through the appeal process. And we said, that's great, but at this point, you should still pay your admin fee based on the assessed value. They ended up winning their appeal. So Dan has reviewed this. He said it's all correct. And they're including that credit that they're owed. And so what would have originally been around $24,000 has dropped down to $13,000 to include that credit, that appeal that they had last year. Did I miss anything, Dan?
No, I went back and found my spreadsheet from last time, went through it, checked the numbers. They're all right. They did what they were supposed to do. And again, I'm delighted that somebody's sending in something that's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
How is it that they were able to appeal without us getting involved?
They have the right as tenant to appeal in their own name. Now, the assessors don't have to pay any attention to that, but they did. And we got to, again, whatever you may think about the county, and I have my own opinion about some folks anyway, the assessors are great, the tax commissioner is great, the chief appraiser is great. So it's not, I have no idea whether the number should be 13 million or 19 million, but you know, the company did what they could do and the assessors went along with it. And we agreed to abide by the results of the appeal, and we have the results.
We did.
I love it. It's easy.
I have a lot to be grateful for this Thanksgiving.
Are you gonna get a day off?
I had to work last year, but I'm taking Thursday off. I'm tired.
Do we have any questions, or do we want to move this toward an approval?
Motion to accept the report as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Van?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Ronnie?
Aye.
Leslie?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Aye. Digital signs. So this is the wayfinding that we were kind of talking about and alluding to. Van found this group, and I think it's very interesting. I think this is exactly the type of stuff that we should be taking a look at and supporting, and hopefully adopting, but I'll turn it over to Van.
So this is a company that I actually found 6 years ago. Their first product was a solar bench, and they moved into these signs a couple of years ago. And the concept is these would be digital on one side. There would be a section that could be used for that someone in the city, say TISA, could have access to post about events or city information. There would be a section that could be sold for advertisements to businesses to generate revenue. And there's also on the back side of it a veneer that can be created with whatever we want. So, if you wanted a static branded, symbol on the back, you could do that, or you could put a map of the city with "You are here" on it. Basically, we have the ability to put whatever we want. So, here's how this program works with them. We would not be buying the signs. These are a lease where they maintain. If something breaks, they fix it. We would not have to be responsible for it. They come by and clean it on a regular basis. They deal with selling the ads, so we wouldn't have to dedicate someone to try to sell ads. Of course, they take a cut of the ad for doing that. Basically, it's a one-time upfront fee with no recurring lease fees. So we pay it once at the beginning and never have to pay again. And we would just have to obviously go to council and get approval for the locations that we might want to put them. And that's really what I'd like to talk about is, if we do something like this, what y'all's thoughts are on possible locations throughout the downtown. I envision about 4 or 5 spread out. Also, one of the nice features, it has a sensor that collects data for us. So it collects pedestrian data. I think that data could be huge for the city to be able to know how many people are walking in a particular area. That could be very advantageous to a whole bunch of things for the city. So I think I sent Catherine sort of a made up Google Maps that I did and picked some locations, but you see the red sort of, I don't know what that's called, red dot. There's one that Rob said he thought would be a good place over on the rail trail by Parkview. So as those steps come down from the complex, you get onto the rail trail, having a digital sign there that people could look at and get information as they're getting on the rail trail. I thought one over by the MARTA station at Peachtree and Malone. If we could get it on the MARTA station side so that people coming out of the MARTA station, that'd be one of the first things they see as they walk into our city. And then up where the new townhomes are going in the old hole next to southbound on American Industrial Way, if you've noticed, they've got a big, nice, wide open sort of walkway there on the corner, and that could be a great place as people walk and gather there. They could see that sign. Obviously, it'd be great to have one over by City Hall, maybe the corner of Broad Street and Peachtree, where the little seats are, and that whatever that thing is called, the pergola that has shading. You could have one there, would be a good place. And I noticed as I drove around a lot that there's quite a lot of walking activity on Chamblee, Dunwoody, and Peachtree Boulevard. And a lot of people I noticed walk in front of that Walgreens, and maybe the corner there would be a good location, not only for people walking, but also as people are driving, they see that sign, not to see the sign, but just to see that we're something different in Chamblee, and we have these digital signs up, even though they may not be stopping in Chamblee and just cruising through. So anyways, what questions?
And you can relocate these, right?
Yeah, they can be relocated at no cost to us. If we collect pedestrian data and find that there's really not anyone walking in that area, then we go to them and say, hey, it takes 30 minutes to install and 15 minutes to uninstall. They're
And
mounted to the ground.
I love these. I think they're great. I think that it's a little premature to decide where they go. I would really like to have a presentation from this company.
Yeah.
And then sit down with the city, not the council, the city, and determine vis-a-vis our development, what's going on with our development, how we would place them, considering things to come, et cetera, et cetera. And there is a distinction between walking traffic and driving traffic. So I would like certainly for this company to address that as well. But I think
So
that
the
this is a great idea.
The representative I spoke with said that they would be glad to come and make a presentation. They're located in Boston, so they could come on our Zoom meeting. And she could bring their corporate vice president to talk about their company and these signs. And yeah, if y'all want to do that, I can get that set up for the December meeting.
I would love to do that. I think that this could be this could be so much fun. It really could be. So I'm in favor.
And this goes towards, helping those local businesses. It's your digital bulletin board. You're posting your events and your activities, and
Yeah,
maybe there's some questions around that, but I think
sure.
the general idea is great.
Yeah, and if those businesses wanted to advertise on there, they could. What I really liked was the concept of us not having to dedicate staff or asking the city to dedicate
Right.
staff to deal with these, but at the same time, we would be given a login to their online tool system that someone on the city staff or someone on the DDA would be able to go in and say, hey, let's post about events or city news, whatever that city news is that we wanted posted on there.
Yeah.
So we'd be given access to it without actually having to do any of the work of maintaining.
But isn't it, if you're a local business and you're given access to post on there, your tweets or Instagram posts or whatever, those are showing up, right? And it's kind of cycling through that stuff.
Yeah, so there is one of the sort of widgets. So they have a bunch of different widgets that would show up on the screen, and we can pick and choose what shows up on each individual sign and how we want to do it. And Rob is right. One of the widgets they have is a social media widget that, again, someone like Tisa or whoever handles, the city's social media stuff could, make tweets or posts or whatever. I don't know enough about that part. We could ask them those questions, but there is a widget for that.
This kind of seems like that would be useful. It's not going to be that useful for people if we're, the city's going to post about our concerts, because we're looking at locating these within our sort of mid-city district, downtown district, and we would like to reach a larger market. So that said, I like this idea. It's almost like the wayfinding signs that are made out of driftwood that have Jamaica this way and, Paris, France that way, 2,000 miles,
by the
whatever.
way, if you want to see one of these in action, there's about 3 or 4 of them downtown. There's one in Little 5 Points, she said. So if you go down to Little 5 Points, right there on where the 5 points are, there's a big open area, and one of these signs is located there. So next time you go down there, you can check it out.
But I do love this idea. I think it's great. So let's can we take the next step and have them present to us?
Yeah. I'll get them on our December meeting.
Maybe increase the budget a little bit.
Or should we wait till January? I
Well,
mean, is our
I thought-
December
so
meeting going to be
when
that
Brian and I
important?
did the budget, I made sure there was enough money for 5 of these. So if you think we need more than 5,
Let's start with 5. Let's start with what we have, okay?
This is great. Anything else? Before we go into executive session, I did want to say thank you to Catherine. This is her last meeting with us. She's been invaluable. Also wanted to say congrats to Laura. She's going to be and always has been, but will continue to be a great resource for us. And we wish Catherine well, and hopefully she fails miserably and comes back.
Catherine's going to move to Boston.
I don't know about Boston, but thank you guys. It's a joy to work with all of you. I'm going to miss you all.
I'm bummed too, but I'm excited to work with y'all more. So thanks, you guys.
We love you, Laura.
Thanks. Love you too.
We're going to love you more.
Okay, it doesn't look like, as far as attendees go, we have Don, Randy, and Bob. So if we can, if you want to make a motion to go into executive session, we could do that now without having to change anything or kick any